Good morning. So, I'm out with the dogs and I have a few minutes. I have to get my boys out to school and I have rice in the gas. So, on the stove. So, I just want to talk a few minutes about my twin. Yesterday, we've been spending so much time together. And it's the most natural thing, too. So, yesterday I spent most of the day until around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I was working on, and I was getting lost in my work, like going back and forth. And I started working on the cup designs. And then I went in, and I don't even want to talk about the work. But at some point, I started feeling like I was totally lost and like I was wasting my time. And it seems like my twin always comes in right at the exact moment, like right at the moment where I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to deplete. And he just comes in with like magic. And he was over here at the spring that's near my house a few minutes away. And he's just so sweet. As I haven't done a gushing video for a while, so he's just so sweet. And he brought his work there. He's getting into solar energy. And so he brought his solar, like it's a solar base, and his computer, and he brought his bow and arrow. He's left-handed, and he brought a right-hand bow and arrow for me. And so I made like a lunch, and we went and we spent all day until about 8 o'clock in the evening at the natural spring. And it seems like time just flies when we're together. And I was thinking about it this morning, like how much of our relationship, he says the funniest things too. And there was like this massive, massive chameleon in the tree. Massive. I mean, the biggest chameleon I've ever seen, but it was dead. And it was in the tree. And it was like, there was something very symbolic about it. And I was thinking about our relationship and how much of it is, because I feel like he's the closest person to me. It feels like there's such a closeness there. Well, I'm going to stop this while I go by houses and then I'll start it. So I feel like a lot of our relationship, probably even could be close to the majority of our relationship, is like a telepathic connection. Is that we just get each other. I just know exactly, I can look at him and I know what he's thinking. I know what he's feeling. I can feel his emotions. Sometimes I can't, I can, like sometimes his emotions become my emotions. It's like we feel the same things, and I understand him at a completely different level, at a completely, like, almost like it's me. And he gets me that way too. Sometimes he'll say that it's like I'm not alone in my own mind. It's like I'm not alone in my own emotions, and it's, on one hand, it's the best, most warm feeling in the whole world. It's the best, most warm feeling in the whole world, that you know that there's somebody there that knows exactly what you're experiencing. And also sometimes it's like, I don't know the word. I want to say like shocking, but it's not really shocking. It's more like it's shocking in a good way, or shocking in a way that is like blows your mind. It's like mind blowing. Maybe that's what it is. Like when I realize the depths of it, or he'll say something and I'll realize that he knows exactly. It's mind blowing. And he says the funniest things too. He'll say like he is so complex and so like what's the word for it, when somebody has like so many little details and he's so exact and intentional, and he brings everything in just such perfect way. And uh, like mituchkam, it's like he's super smart, and it's like So he has this outer external toughness to him, kind of like he's very blunt in the way that he is, in the way that he talks, in the way that he speaks, and the things that he says. Very honest and very, very blunt. Um, but underneath, he's all just gushy. He's just like, he's the sweetest thing. So when you get to really know him, you see what a softy he is underneath all that. He's like very blunt and everything is just like, bleh. All of his truth is bleh. But as long as you're like honest and kine is like authentic, then it's easy to be around him because that's what he's made up of. It's like honesty, and that's also has to do with like the Messiah. Um, is that you have to be honest and authentic to even be in his presence, because his presence, like anything that's not honest and authentic about you, is brought into the light. And I've seen people squirming next to him because he sees right through it. So if you're not completely 100% open, honest, and authentic, then he picks up on it, and he's blunt. He says it like he sees it, or and even it's like something that is intuitional with him also. And a lot of times, like he'll say something, he'll say something and he'll hit whatever the person's hang up is on the nose. He just hits it on the nose every time, even sometimes without him even knowing. He knows he does it. He knows he does it intentionally, but he also does it non-intentionally. I've seen it. I've seen like people that I know certain things about that he doesn't know, and he'll say something to them that hits right in that spot that they need the healing in, right in the bringing out into the open, their most, the thing that they need most healed in them. And sometimes it's really unpleasant for people to have to deal with their demons. So he hits. It's like all of the demons are exposed. He exposes demons. That's what it is. It's like all of anything that is in you that isn't pure and um, complete and honest and open. It's like where I did a video before about the genies. So anything that genies have a hold of you, which is like having inner demons, like having, you could call it psychological hangups. You could call it whatever you want. I think that is what in the Bible they were talking about when they were talking about demons. Basically, it's internal psychological places that you are not in sync and in harmony with the all, or with God. Like your God essence isn't pure, and so they called it demons. But you can call it psychological hangups. You can call it traumas. You can call it whatever you want, and it's always called something different. But it's like these genies that come in through the back door. I've talked about them. You can find a video that I did about genies, and it's about genies coming in the back door in places that you're not standing up in your strength. Then you allow for weak thoughts to come in, or behaviors that cause you not to look at those points, because those points are difficult for you to see or overcome. And so in those places, you are not pure. And when you meet my twin, and this is why I say the Savior, the Messiah, and by reading the New Testament, I see that it was the exact same thing as Yeshua, that Yeshua did. He brought out into the light things that were false. If you're sitting out in front of the temple and you're selling, you're belittling the temple, or you're allowing um, uh, tarif, like things that aren't pure, to come into the temple, then he would call you out on it. That's not the way. It's a closeness to God. It's a closeness to the all. It's a purified way, and he's so strong in his center, and in his knowing, and in his understanding of how things that work, that he doesn't he doesn't move from it. He doesn't move from his truth. And I've seen again and again and again and consistently and every single time that he's solid in his truth, and that his truth is the pure truth, it's the divine truth. And I'm doing healing with him um, in the mirror. And I see many, many people all around us that are healing in his mirror. And I see a lot of people that don't want to heal, that they're pushing away, and that, because it's difficult to face your demons. It's difficult when your demons are brought out into the surface. It's difficult. You don't want to deal with them a lot of times, and a lot of times it hits you in the face like as a surprise, because you don't even know that you're hiding those demons. You don't even know about the demons that are in you. It's just a way of being. It's a behavior. You can feel that something is off because you're suffering. If you're pure light doesn't suffer. The suffering is in the places where you're off from your soul, where your soul wants to be straight like this, and you're over here, and you're not aligned with your pure being. With your pure being is aligned with the divine, knows that everything is in perfect harmony, knows that everything is upright. I like this video. This is channeled. And so that's when you have suffering, when your divinity is over here and you're over here hiding away from it because it's more difficult. But then once you do move into your strength and into your divinity and into your pureness and into your wholeness and into aligned with your higher self, then you see that it's easy. It's the easiest thing. It's the most difficult thing to shed, because it's like shedding addictions. It's like shedding a way of being, a sense of self, which is the ego, right? A sense of self. This is how I've always done things. This is how I was brought up to think. These are behaviors that give me peace. Like if somebody comes in and they hurt me and I lash out at them, then I'm putting it back on them, and then I don't have to deal with whatever it is, right? But when you fully surrender, then you can not take things personally. You just see that every interaction and everything in the world is here to teach me, is here to bring me back to my center, is here for me to decipher through. And whenever somebody is throwing their crap on me, it's not my crap. I can see it for what it is. I can see it as them, as places that they're not pure in, and places that they need to do that lashing out, which is their own demons and their own behaviors. And whatever is true, I can take from me and I can learn from it. So it's like you get into a place of harmony with yourself, and then nothing needs to hurt anymore. Everything just becomes life lessons. I have to get back. I have rice on the stove to make sure I get back in time. And I have to get my boys off for school. So this is kind of like a gushing video. He says the funniest things. Like yesterday, he said a couple of things that were, first of all, I see that chameleon as symbolic, like that the games are over, like the transformation. Chameleon, we were reading about the chameleon and all the different symbols and significance of it. But as soon as I saw it and I saw that it was dead, I knew that it meant that we're coming into a time of just being our true selves. There's no more like hiding or masquerades or changing, like putting on masks is the way that I saw it. I saw that like that era is over. The pretending or the dressing things up or shape shifting, just coming back to being our pure selves. And it also connects to my twin lately has been, and he's told me a few times, like he has been, like he wears a lot of like jewelry, but it's symbolic. And so lately he's been leaving with the house with nothing, without all of the, like a magician would wear all of these magical, different symbolic. He has like snake rings and things like that. And his organites. He does wear some of his organites. But the rest, like, it's like the masquerade is over. And I can also see it. And so for me, that was what it was, the symbolic message was. And And he says the funniest things. Like yesterday when he called me, first of all, he called me right when I started uh, going into a loop. I sat down next to the computer. I started crying because I started feeling like I wasted my whole day on something that in the end wasn't, like I looked it up in the end and it wasn't working. And I felt like I just wasted my whole day. And then he sent me a message. It was kind of like a joke. It was funny because at 11:11 I sent him 1:1, like 11:11. And so at 1, which is like 13, when the way that we count is like 13:13, right? But he sent me a message at 13:14. He sent me 13:14. It's kind of like, it's a funny sense of humor. And then he said to me, when I called him, he said that he came there just so he could be close. And he says those things like in Hindis. Okay, I got home. Let me stop this video. Don't make a whole bunch of noise. Okay. So I just finished getting my boys off to school. I'm sitting here on the balcony. The pressure is off. And so I wanted to add on to that last video that I did because I don't feel like I finished my gushing yet. See, this is where I was bit by that, where I was stung. It's already much, much better. After I went to the hot springs already, the venom, like, I don't know, it just felt better all of a sudden. So yesterday he brought a bow and arrow, and he brought his work, and we just spent all day. It's like a playground. It's like a playground being at the spring all day. It's like a playground. It's like going into heaven on earth. And he says the funniest things. And that was what I started to say, and then I went into channeling. But what I was starting to say is that a lot of our relationship, like when things are spoken, I realize how much isn't spoken. And I feel like so much of our relationship is telepathic that I don't even, there's it's like unspoken. It's things that you don't even need to speak in order to know them. And he said yesterday something which I'm always like, it always, liragesh, it always like, what's the word for liragesh? Like he'll say things that kind of take my breath away. And he says them in passing. Like he doesn't say them like outright. He says them kind of in passing. And I think that's the sweetest. It's the absolute sweetest because it's like when he says them in passing that way, it's like stating the obvious. And he said he was telling me about Monty Python. We were watching some of these on his phone or on my phone also. We were watching these Monty Python Life of Daniel, I think it was, like little skits from it. And he said something to the effect of, you see, that's kind of like the process that you and I are going through. And when he says those little things, it's because we don't outright talk about the twin flame journey between us or outright talk about the work. Well, we do sometimes, but not it's not a conversation. It's always in like passing. And he said something to the effect of that I know that he knows that we're going through a process. He said it's kind of like the process that we're going through, which the process of self-healing, each of us individually, but we're going through that process together in a way. I mean, obviously. And so I thought it was just so sweet, and it just like takes my breath away. And also the consideration that he was there from the morning, and he knew exactly when to come in. Like I was doing my work, and I need to get my work done. And when he came in, it was at the exact moment that I started losing it. Like my day wasn't going to be productive from that moment on. And he came right in, and he was just right here. He was close, and we had lunch together, and it was just like the synchronicities are perfect. It's like a perfect balance. It's like a perfect And what I'm learning is to trust that. Seems like anytime that I'm out of trust is when everything goes out of whack. But when I'm in complete trust and just knowing everything is perfect, the thing is like I I feel like I always want to be with him. It's like this constant, consistent, and it's 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 like when I'm near him, my being is calm, and it's not a like codependency kind of thing, not like a dependency kind of thing. It's just that I love being around him. It's when I'm around him, I just love being around him. I love him. I love everything about him, even his like external Sabras kind of, like stickery kind of being. I love all of that. I find it charming and enlightening and funny and fun to be around and always off the wall. And he's always surprising me. And every person that he meets, he kind of has something funky to say that just like it just goes bling. Like when you get candy in your mind, it goes bling, and it like lights me up. I enjoy it very much. Okay, so that's my gushing video.